today, guys, checking out this $32 eBay wind deflector. Now, I've been riding it around on and off a couple of times and just pull the screen off every now and again to compare it, but today I thought we'd go out, give it a bit better test and have a bit of talk about it. Pretty hard to tell how things go around town, but I always thought this deflector was all right. A bit chatty looking, you know, as far as if you had a proper factory screen, but I don't know, some people for 32 bucks might be right, you know, right royal happy. So around town at 50, pretty windy day today too, so we've got a bit of an idea how things are going, and I know you might be able to see the trees moving a little bit up ahead, but I am going out on a windy day to test a wind deflector. As a rule, I don't mind riding this bike, rip the screen off and just ride it more naked, because I'm used to riding the bikes like that. It doesn't worry me much. I was on the CV125F yesterday, and then I've also been on the Enfield, and you can sort of tell straight off how much higher you sit on this Suzuki SX compared to both those bikes. So it's a good 2.5 inches or more higher off the ground than those bikes, and you sort of notice it immediately if you haven't been on it for a while. But compared to when I had the Suzuki DRZ 400E, this is really a low bike. That was a really serious bit of height, that Suzuki 400. So I'm back onto the open road now, and I'm sitting roughly around about the 80 kilometre mark, and I had to swing to an external mic because that onboard mic was just getting too much interference. You couldn't even hear it. But to give you an idea, the screen's all right at the 80, and now I'm headed out onto the 100k zone, and once again the wind deflector for $32 is doing a pretty good job there. So I decided to swing down along this way, and I'm going to go down a little bit further because I've got a good idea. I've been out on this bike a few times now, and swing onto this dirt ride. It'll run me over to the forest. So the idea behind this one, just see how the bike's run along on the dirt, and I'm sitting on 50, 55 kilometres an hour, and it's handling it quite well. So overall, I'm pretty happy how it runs along on a dirt road, but not too happy how it handles the mud. So, you know, you can't win them all. So I occasionally notice throttle's a little bit what you'd call snatchy or a bit jumpy, but it's not a common thing. It only just seems to come in every now and again. But apart from that, I don't know, it looks like they've had a grader along here and graded it, because last time I was along here it was a lot rougher than what it is now. You have to watch these back roads in case someone comes around and tries to wipe you out. And it's really loose and slippery on that back section there. Or that I will go to better off-road tyres. Yeah, I wouldn't mind trying a really good set of dirt tyres just to experience it, because, you know, I could like it or I could not. It's hard to say. I just thought I'd pull over here and just give you a look at the bike with the area I've got here in the creek bed. This is not a bad little spot here to pull over. I don't think I'll be annoyed too much by cars if I can get this out of the way fairly quick. So what we're out here today, checking the wind deflector on this bike, and there it is there, the $32 eBay special. So we'll come in close and have a bit of a look. And overall, I think, you know, like, it depends on what your budget's in mind, but I suppose if you can get onto a really good one for a couple $100 and you don't mind spending the money, that would probably be the way to go, because naturally that'd look better compared to this, like the add-on piece like that. But from my point of view, like, if you were, say, I'm on a bit of a budget warrior, I haven't got $250 to spend on the windscreen, I've just bought the bike, would it do? Yeah, I think it really would do for $32, because there's a fair bit of room there for adjustment, and I can notice it. Like, I've been riding the bike like fully naked, screen on, and then to the stage where I put the deflector on. The deflector's got a lot of area for movement, like in this part up here. This section here, you can move it up and down. You know, it sort of seems to do your job well for, like I said, $32. So you're not really paying a great deal of money to get some result. So on this one, the big question is it worth $32 to buy one of these and put it on the bike and try it, and does it work? Okay, for $32, I reckon it's a pretty good buy if you don't want to spend $200 or $250, and that's probably what a factory one would cost you. What you got to remember, like I found it at round town, it's very hard to tell at 50 it makes much difference because you haven't got really high wind hitting you. At 80 kilometres an hour I noticed it, and I've been riding this bike with the factory screen on, and the factory one's up the shit compared to having that deflector. And at 100 it seems to work all right too, and it was a bit windy earlier on when I was up in that hilly parts. Now the only thing, like I said earlier, you got to put up with this sort of chatty looking add-on piece here. But if you were just saying, oh well, I'm going on a bit of a run, I want to be blocked by the wind and that, I'm pretty sure you could do more adjustments on it. It's got, like I showed you earlier, it's got the adjustments up and down and so on and forth. So it does work, it just doesn't look as good as a straight out screen. But you have to take into account too, I'm not really a lover of windscreens at any time. I just like the outright. Later on I'll probably remove this screen again, like the factory screen, and just ride it naked, because I'd rather just ride it like that, because, you know, all the other bikes are virtually like that, and I don't mind a bit of wind blowing around where I'm going. So as far as that goes, you know, like, take into account, if you're a screen person, you think, can I get a bit of value for $32? I reckon you can. And more importantly, it works, or works fairly well. And like, I'm 5'9" and I'm sitting on the bike, and I don't know, where I was getting blown sort of all around the side of the face or something, and over in the eyes and all that from before, I find now with this on, you know, it does a good job at blocking it for the money involved. You know, knowing how people make things and that, I bet you could buy one for $200 and $250, and all it'll do is look a bit better, probably still made out of the same plastic junk, and chances are it might work better, or it might work better at certain speeds, or it might not even work at all and you're buying it just to look at. So if you're going to do that, just spend $32, put one of these on it, ride it. If you don't want it, just throw it in the garbage. You only spent $32, you never spent $3,000, and that way it's not really hard to fit either. Like, once you get it, I'll do a couple of photos with my camera, as you can see, but inside this part here, there's a little slide block that goes into there. Then you've got this rubber insert which mounts to the screen. And then you've got two grub screws either side, and the purpose of those is just to grip the screen. Now, it doesn't rattle or anything like that when you're going along, and once again, I've had enough talking about this stupid windscreen. Let's go back onto the bike. I tell you what, I'm surprised how clear those mirrors are to go along, factory mirror. You can look out of those at 80 or 100 kilometres an hour, and they are really bloody sharp. There's very little vibration run through this bike, considering it's already laid on the ground one since I've had it and chucked a tantrum. But apart from that, it really is a really good bike to ride, and I think for 26 horsepower on tap, how it runs along at 100 kilometres an hour, and stuff like that, I reckon it's a pretty good value bike. And honestly, I've had bikes here, and I've had a lot of bikes over the years come in and go, and I reckon a lot of them have been heaps of shit compared to this one. And this is probably one of the cheapest ones too. So, as far as that goes, I think everything's good on them. Like, you can notice a difference in seat height compared to the other ones. I mentioned that as I was going along, but we might not be able to hear that because it's hard to say if the wind was affecting talking into a microphone as you're going along at 80 or 100 kilometres an hour. So in other words, I can notice a difference in seat height as soon as I get on this bike compared to, I can feel I'm higher up off the ground. Nothing like when I had the DRZ 400. I just didn't like riding it at all because it just didn't feel safe. But, you know, this side like that, you know, the bike presents itself well, the finish of it. I mean, I'm getting used to being old yellow now on it now, so, you know, the idea of the orange was in me mind, but I made it quite clear when I get the Hunter, I want the right one, I want the right colour, I'm not buying it. So, as far as that goes, I'll check when that bike comes in, they've got the right colour, before I even pay them. So, apart from that, you might have mentioned on my previous ones, I told you that I'm working on some sort of a winching system when the bike goes down, because I really haven't got back strength to be able to lift it up due to hard life and wood paddocks and other stuff. But when that system, I put it together, or when the parts come, we'll take it out somewhere and we'll put this bike on the ground out there and we'll see if I can winch it up, because if I can't winch it up and get it back on its feet, there's not much point in me running some of those dirt tracks with the risk of being stranded out there like I was on that particular day, but lucky enough to score it. Now, you know, a couple of clips back, if you regulars remember, just heard a crow come over. You know, fuck. But anyway, apart from that, that's about all I can tell you on the Suzuki SX250, the windscreen deflector. If you're on the fence and you're thinking of buying one, I think for $32 on eBay, and if you want to, I'll find a link for you and I'll put it in the description. For $32 it's worth a try. I actually think it works. You know, it's not perfect, but it works pretty good for $32, and you've got nothing to lose, and apart from that you can move it from one bike to another, so it's virtually a universal fit, and we'll get you out of trouble that way. So apart from that, I'm going to get on this bike now, ride it up through the forest up here, or what used to be the forest, and then head back home and I don't know, I think I'll feed the birds. But apart from that, thanks for tuning in, take a look, catch you later.